The following program is intended for a mature listening audience. Graphic and explicit language may be heard at times. The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual hosts and their guests do not necessarily express those of this station or sponsors. Listeners are advised that neither this station nor its owners and agents shall be held liable for the content of this program. Rebroadcast, redistributed or reused without express written permission by host or producer is not allowed.
And welcome to another episode of the Vixen'S Vault. My name is Rafael Martinez. I am filling in for Nancy tonight. She's not feeling well, so we're gonna have a free for all tonight. While the cat's away, the mice will play. So, what do you guys want to talk about tonight? I think Venezuela. Okay. So, I've been going back and forth on my Facebook page with people about Venezuela, and it's not. I'm on the fence about it. It's not that I'm against fighting drug trafficking. It's not that I'm against fighting terrorism. My problem is the premise under which they are trying to slip to get around the War Powers Act and slip themselves in there without approval of Congress. And, to get us embroiled in another war. The problem is that we cannot afford to turn the entire Latin American continent or Latin American area of
South America.
influence. Yes, Central and South America. We can't afford to turn them against us, and the reality is, there has been a long, Nicolas Maduro, like him or hate him, Hugo Chavez, Evo Morales, they're the last of the Bolivarian revolution in Latin America. And if you don't understand what that is, it's basically the decolonization of Latin American countries. And, when Chavez took over, his great sin was he nationalized the oil in Venezuela to pay for social programs. And that was, reading, writing, medical, just all the things that we don't spend our money on. As far as we're concerned, the oil in Venezuela belongs to us. And, how dare they, take a chunk of profit out of the American oil companies to, spend it on the poor pissant peasants down in Venezuela. That was the great sin. The other great sin, which nobody really talks about because it's not really brought up, is that Venezuela State Bank, or their central bank, is state-run. Unlike the rest of the world, the majority, I think there was 7 or 8 countries. There were 7 countries on the hit list that General Wesley Clark talked about, and almost all of them had state-run central banks. And I think that was the missing ingredient from this equation in Venezuela, because Venezuela still has a state-run bank. And even though Trump had already cut a deal with Venezuela, with Maduro, to allow Chevron back in to pump oil. Who's his name? Marco Rubio got Trump to backpedal on it and decided to go for a decapitation operation, a regime change. And you got to ask yourself why. If we had already secured oil drilling rights for Chevron and the other oil companies, what other legitimate reason would he have, or not even legitimate, but what other reasons would he have that they're not talking about to go forth with this invasion in Latin America that's only going to kill thousands? I mean, they're not going to be able to withstand a U.S. assault. That's not even the question. The question is there a legitimate reason to kill thousands of people for something they could have gotten? They had already arranged to get freely, to get to, they had already arranged a deal for. So why are they continuing with this insult of Venezuela? And the only thing I can come up with is the state-run bank. You know, and who is Marco Rubio's largest constituency down in South Florida? Anybody?
Cuba.
No, not just Cuba.
I'm there with you, brother. I used to live in South Florida.
Who runs South Florida?
The constituency from the country in the Middle East that is not an Arab country.
Thank you. Who runs the banks?
Indeed the same.
All right. And this is the reason why I think.
Are you talking about the Israelis?
Oh, no, I didn't say that.
Are you?
I would never
Are
do
you
a thing
hinting
like that?
That could never happen, right?
Yeah,
There are allies, right? That can never happen.
I disagree. It's more U.S. supremacy, dare I say, U.S. arrogance. The public issue, or the public announced issue, is related to drugs. And the real issue that the US got is with Mexico, not with Venezuela, because obviously those drugs have to come in by Mexico over Mexican borders. So why, from a public sort of standpoint, why invade Venezuela?
Well, that's the whole point. The whole point is that there is no legitimate excuse for invading Venezuela. I mean, if you want to go after a drug trafficking nation, a narco state, you gotta look at Mexico. Mexico is the top of the list. It sits right on our border, and the cartels have a lot of influence in the United States. There's a crap ton of corruption. They've got DEA and FBI moles in the in government that are controlled by the Mexican cartels, because again, they have an undue influence. Now, Venezuela, we've long heard that CIA was operating down there. It was basically a CIA stronghold. And there's another aspect to this that has recently been surfaced, and Nancy was one of the first to talk about it, and that was their involvement in Smartmatic.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Yeah, the voting software.
Right.
And the thing about it, though, is Venezuela themselves do not have the technical capacity to make a voting software that would have been bought up by the United States government and implemented nationwide. Not without U.S. support. U.S. and Mossad. Those are the two tech giants that are operating down there that nobody's talking about.
Well, what about Executive Order 13818, when you interfere with election, interference? That gives the U.S. the right to go in and take over.
No, listen. I don't disagree, but I don't think it was the Venezuelan government. Can you imagine the bus driver making a program to run voting software? Maduro. Do you think
Right.
Venezuela had that technical capacity?
I think they
No,
owned
but
it.
I bet China and Cuba could have sent some aid.
Well,
I don't
thought
think it
that
was them.
Kamala's husband
Brazil.
that had Dominion and Smartmatic together.
Again, that's what I'm saying. I don't think the roads lead to other countries. I think they lead right back to us, the CIA and the Mossad. And that's the one thing that's pissing me off. That they're skirting around it. Our involvement in all of it and everything that's going on down there, but they won't clean house here first. Instead, what they're doing is they're stretching definitions to try to circumvent the War Powers Act. They're trying to label everybody terrorists, and that in there is my problem with the whole thing. It's a slippery slope. It was just one administration ago where they slapped the label of terrorist on everybody that was constitutional nationalist here in the United States. Everybody
That's
that was
exactly what.
we were all domestic terrorists.
It's a slippery slope.
That's it. We were domestic terrorists.
And do it right back.
Yeah.
They could turn around and do it right back to us, and will turn around and do it right back to us in 3 years.
Exactly.
Executive order, though, it was against Biden. Biden and Kamala's husband, who had the Smartmatic thing. So that's where where he's getting the reason that they can go in and do this. I mean, they've already taken, if you abscond with all of their assets because they were guilty of interference. And that interference, they just haven't brought out the faction of the U.S. yet that is responsible.
I hear what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing with it. I mean, but again, if you're going to go in, or at least go in with the under the right intentions, under the letter of the law, because the problem is you got a bunch of Trumpers here, a bunch of they diehard Trumpers that will cling on to anything he says and back it. And I used to this used to piss me off when he was in his first term in office, like when he was backing red flag laws, and the dumbasses that were blindly following him were cheering and say yay, not realizing that can be turned around and used on us. And as far as the domestic terrorism, they already laid out they already legalized that under the NDAA of 2012, and they used it on us. They have already used it on us. The NDAA of 2012, they authorized the indefinite detention and assassination of U.S. citizens without due process or geographical limitations. That means they could do it here in the U.S. And we found out, Anwar al-Awlaki was the first guy, the first American that got whacked without due process, and then his 16-year-old son. And I think his sister, too. His daughter, too. But anyway, my point is, they already did it abroad. But then when Biden took power and we had January 6th, they indefinitely detained a bunch of U.S. citizens that had nothing to do with pipe bombs or even occurring into the Capitol building.
Well,
And
is that because it was in D.C., though? Because they had a different constitution that they could do that?
It shouldn't matter anyway. It shouldn't matter anyway. The Constitution is the Constitution.
Yeah, but they have a different constitution. D.C. does. They seriously do. That's why they got away with it.
Right, I understand. Like Vatican City and
London City. Yeah.
Well, one of the J6ers was sitting in the county jail here in Pinellas County the entire time. So it's not just a DC thing. Otherwise, they would have put him in jail up there.
I'm surprised that happened. Was that just one person? Because
there was one person that we know of, that we knew of, and Nancy got to speak with him. We talked to his support team, and we got to be friends with them. And again, no charges. They threw him in there, no charges, and left him in there to rot. And he was fighting to get out the entire time. He's retired Special Forces, one of the good guys, but he refused to become an FBI informant at the J6 thing. Okay, so
Well,
they
no,
threw him in the slam.
well, it's probably better down in Pinellas County than what they got in D.C. because they really have no rules there. I
Yeah,
mean,
but you hear what I'm saying though. The
yes, I
slippery
do.
slope
I
is
do.
this.
Yes.
Yeah, they've already, the slippery slope has already been moved. Now they can use it on Americans here in the United States. And if they continue, slapping, just throwing around the word the label terrorist everywhere, then they can label anybody a terrorist. As it stands right now, if, they're trying to pass legislation to make it illegal to talk about those people without, what I'm saying? The
Yeah,
ones
yeah.
that own the
Yes.
banks, where, they're trying
Yeah.
to make it illegal to talk about them,
Those
and
Germans,
they want, what was
those,
that?
those Germans, those fucking Nazis, man.
The juicies, no, the juicy people. Anyway,
Don't give him any lead to take and do the slippery slope with language there, Roger.
Oh, sorry. I said
Hey,
the
hey,
F word.
Rafi, does the Patriot Act give them the more war powers acts for once they claim somebody a terrorist? I don't know. I don't have a
They
copy.
did. They gave Bush a blank check to basically fight terrorism everywhere. And that
Well,
was a problem. That is a
yeah, but
problem. Still is a problem.
Actually, this
it,
goes.
I
it
agree.
continues. We
This
got a
goes.
COG going on though right now, and also we're back on the Constitution of the Republic. We're not maritime anymore.
I
This
doubt
actually
that.
goes back further than just last couple of years, last 10 or whatever years. This goes back to the old notion that the US is the world police force.
We are.
Absolutely.
Has it really worked since World War II? Yeah, has
I
it
mean,
ever worked?
well, I mean, we have been since World War II. Who do you think rebuilt the Europe?
Yeah.
Whoever
Yes.
asked the Navy to do it, it was England for the longest time. And then, they basically had to trade in their empire for us to come
hold on.
into World War II.
Let's think about this, like with the genocide and the gold that they were supposed to freaking reimburse back to the Jews who lost all their family and loved ones. That gold that England was supposed to have that was mysteriously sunk on its way to the United States.
It's under Mark's mattress.
Okay. I mean,
That's why he has a castle.
That's why he's sitting high.
the point is they were shipping that to the United States, supposedly. You see, it's like that whole story on the United States and how much power we actually had and what we played a part in is kind of controversial. Because
You're talking about the Bretton Woods Agreement?
mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, we cut the deal that we would hold the gold and everybody would hold dollars and at a pegged rate. And the reality is, it's not that we're playing police in the world. Every once in a while we might do a good deed, but the majority of it is we declared we declared economic war on the entire world when we took ourselves off the gold standard. It's economic warfare. And then to make it worse, we started using that very same system that we trapped everybody into under the petrodollar status. Once we got the petrodollar status in place, we started using that system as an economic weapon. We've been, putting sanctions. Yeah, we use it. We use it like a bat and place sanctions on people that we don't agree with. And Venezuela is just one of them. It's not that they didn't have the oil to pay for those social programs before, but as soon as we started an economic war against them, we killed them. We started embargoes. We started doing sanctions. We just basically, starved them out. And, it's not that their economies, died naturally. It's that we interfered. We destroyed their economy from the outside. And therein lies the problem. That's the reason why the BRICS are forming. Excuse me. But that's the reason why the BRICS are forming, because we've been doing this to everybody. It's not like, it's not like we try to convince everybody, it's not like we try to convince everybody to go our way. We threaten them to do things our way. And if they don't, well, then they get embargoes, they get sanctions, they get all this other stuff that starve them out. And it may be just a pissing contest between two world leaders, but it's the millions of people in one of those countries that's going to end up starving, just like Iraq. You guys remember that interview with Madeleine Albright, where
500,000 was.
No,
it was a hard decision, but we do believe it was worth it.
Yeah, that's exactly that. That's exactly it. That was Madeleine Albright's callous response to 500,000 men, women, and children starving because they wanted to oust Saddam Hussein, and that was BS. And then you look at it this time around when we finally invaded them. What did we do? We not only did they suffer millions of casualties, but now their lands are so polluted with your depleted uranium, they're going to have birth defects for generations to come. And
real quick, in Felicia, they advise the women not even to have babies up to this day because of all the birth defects. And I tell you what, I've shown a lot of awful stuff on the D program in terms of Palestine and just in general. That is the one thing where I will not look at the screen. I will literally look away from the screen. Those photos look so horridly painful. I can't begin to explain.
Yes, it is absolutely horrible. But the thing is, our propaganda machine whitewashes the whole damn thing. And so the American people don't know, or they don't care because they've been programmed not to care. All they care about is that they're comfortable. All they care about is that their lives are good, that their lives are okay. But they're willing to do the same thing they did to Iraq to Venezuela. And that alone pisses me off. They're not thinking like human beings. They have no moral compass anymore. The United States citizens, the citizens of America, and they're just. I'm to the point where I'm just ready to let them go. You understand what I'm saying?
The Venezuelans
no, those dead-brained Americans, those callous, immoral. I don't even know what to call them. But they
brainwashed. Seriously,
not even brainwashed.
They don't know what's going on. They don't care about what's going on. They buy the propaganda hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah,
indoctrinated.
They're cheerleaders.
There you go.
They're cheerleaders is what it is. What's making me sick about politics today is I have to sit and listen to these people freaking act like Donald Trump cheerleaders or the freaking Democratic Party cheerleaders. It doesn't matter any of the bad stuff they've done. These people will justify those actions. They will say that it's okay. It's like Donald Trump was supposed to be the anti-war president, and look at what he's doing. And to this day, you'll find those cheerleaders who are touting him and justifying his actions, knowing damn well he became president because he was supposed to be against the same things he's doing right now.
Well, part of it is you're watching a propaganda war also, because he has shut down. And I don't know why there other things haven't been shut down or everyone told to stop. To stop and get on with it. Everybody wants that. But so there must be something else going on as far as the holdup. I know in Iraq, they had to get rid of, they still had corruption in their government before they can revalue their money. So they have to get rid of that. And they have to, and because everybody's money is all supposed to be the same, a 1-to-1 ratio. So there's no more American hegemony, so that it's a level playing field. And so I don't know if Venezuela's, government, Maduro, whoever, he's not playing ball. He's not doing what, he needs to do to get that playing field leveled. Because it's awful listening to everything that's going on and knowing the truth and then going, oh, what are we waiting for? It's just.
Yeah, well, therein lies another piece of angst that it just kind of bothers the shit out of me. Is that the reality is, they're going to make thousands of people suffer, and they're going to lay waste to Venezuela and probably grant themselves, contracts to rebuild it, like they're trying to do with Ukraine and Gaza, whatever else. And they're going to leave some depleted uranium to, have a bunch of dirt birth defects. When reality is, if they got a problem with Maduro, they could just put a tomahawk through his bedroom window while he sleeps. That's why make all those people suffer because of, you got a problem with one guy. Or even if it was his entire cabinet, there are still ways to do it without killing all the innocents that have nothing to do with it.
I think they'll try that. Capitation strikes.
I don't think so. I just, if they wanted to do that,
they would try anything.
They could try anything. There's a whole laundry list of things things in the U.S. arsenal that they can try, and.
Well, Venezuela is kind of a touchy situation too, though, because on one hand, I agree with you on that, but with everybody talking all this stuff about illegals coming to the United States, they're fleeing Venezuela for a reason. Like, this guy is a freaking tyrant, and he's done atrocious things to his own people. So I'm kind of mixed on that too, because
take a break, Roger. Can you hold that question?
Yeah.
Answer?
Yeah. All right. We're going to go to break, and we'll be right back with the Vixen's Vault. So just stand by.
All right. We're on radio break. Thanks,
well, I understand.
David.
Anytime, Mark W.
Yeah. That is kind of it's not as cut and dry as what everybody's making it out to be.
No.
This guy's a horrible.
There's something going on.
No, he really is. He's a horrible dude.
Well,
and get rid of that.
The government works over there is way different than here. They have the military, and then they have certain aspects of the military that are shady, but they have power. How we have three different sets of power. We have the administrative, we have the, Congress, and then we have the judiciary, but it's all nice and clean and by the book. They have something like that, divided power, but it's not clean. It's the opposite. It's partially military, partially somebody like Maduro in the administration, and partially these cartels. And one hand kind of sort of hats to wash the other, and that's how somebody like Maduro stays in power, to an extent, by juggling these other powers.
Well, you have to take out the corruption. Plus, with the EOs, we own that country now. So we're not trying to destroy that country because we own it. I mean, that's what happens when all of those countries they have to stand down to America. And I won't use the name again, but
bow down.
No, it's just that's the. If they violate and they, do the election interference, then we have the right to take all of their assets
but
basically take their. But there's something else going on.
Only by your own laws, not by their laws. Only by the laws that you've created, or the US has created.
That's international
I don't want to have.
law.
I don't want to have to go over this again. Like, I'm gonna say it one more time, Mark. Okay, we are the greatest country.
Whatever. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
International law.
Yeah.
You will obey and you will do what you're told because the United States has said so. That is the way it is, Mark.
Tell that to China. China.
China can.
Yeah, I was going to say we've got some talking about interfering in other people's elections.
How dare
That's a
you?
reason to go bomb.
How dare you interfere with our elections? And it's like, I'm getting so tired of hearing that crap. Like, hey, they're interfering with our elections. Who's doing it this time? You know what I mean? Let's pick a name. Let's just.
Again, this is where I go back to as far as the election interference goes, unless you can prove that Maduro ordered it, you have no case.
What
If
about
anything, I think
England?
again. God
What
damn.
about England?
I think it's
Yeah.
What
they
about
do.
England?
They
They always
do it all the
interfere.
time.
See
Yeah.
Trump
They always
walking
interfere.
in front of
Yeah,
Trump walking in front of the king and the queen and reviewing the troops. I mean, that is not allowed normally. You don't walk in front of somebody else's
Oh.
thing.
Oh yeah.
That's
You talking about
just
first
showing
administration?
Well,
No,
they're
I mean just recently,
no.
Trump and just
Yeah.
recently, and then before the Queen, and then he walked in front of Charles, and
St.
he's
George.
reviewing the Trump.
It's
reviewing
St. George. That has to do with St. George. Okay. Now they have a medal of honor that they hand out that's international. It's called St. George.
No, but
And
normally you don't allow that. I mean, that
Yeah,
perhaps
that's-
before you don't walk
yeah.
in front of them.
That's one special occasion that they do allow it in. It's like a multinational thing. It's a secret cult among the government and the
Here's
military.
the
Anyway,
No,
we
he
got
understands
less
his
than
body
30
language.
seconds
He
and we'll
knows
be
what
back on air.
Vicky's talking about.
Believe it or not,
Okay.
it is a real thing. It is a
Calm
real
down,
thing.
guys. Here's your countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you are alive and on the radio side right now.
And welcome back to the Vixen's Vault. This is Rafael Martinez filling in for Nancy Planeta. And tonight our panel is having a free-for-all with the Venezuela issue because we all have opinions about it, and we're trying to dig down to the root of it. But we talked about, the possible reasons why they have for trying to invade Venezuela. At first, we thought it was the oil. Then we thought it was the drugs. But the reality is, I think, at the end of the day, I think it's because of the banks. And, maybe the CIA and Mossad involvement in the Smartmatic and all their operations they have going down there. Because there was a post I just read maybe 3 days ago. One of the high-ranking generals down in Venezuela basically turned over state's evidence against CIA and some politicians here in the United States. And I also found another post where supposedly Maduro cut a deal with Trump to give up everything that he had on what they're basically looking for. So there's a good chance that the troop buildup or the fleet buildup outside of Venezuela was to put pressure on him to make him make him sweat a little bit to turn everybody over. But if it is
so
great,
he doesn't make a run for it,
it wouldn't matter. If you were going to make a run for it, you wouldn't go through the Gulf anyway. You basically got you'd basically take your southern border, or maybe
Yeah,
anywhere.
I don't think that would work for him because of what I was talking about before, the way their government works. The only reason he's alive is because he has the ability to, with finesse, juggle those shady powers. It wouldn't be in it for anybody to help him flee, I don't think.
Well, that's usually the reason why you see the military buildup. That's the reason that has been given online, is that so that these people don't escape. They don't flee.
I'm going to call shit on that one, but that's okay.
You're welcome to. I'm just saying that's what's been put out.
I know, but that's what I'm saying though. Everything as a daily course of action, the government lies to us about everything. Anything and everything that the government spouts out, or even the mainstream media spouts out, 9 times out of 10, it's a pure, absolute freaking lie.
Yeah, but this isn't mainstream media. This is not even mainstream media that's putting that out.
Who put it out?
Who's putting it out.
I'm just thinking. During the break we were talking on sort of international lines, and I'm just thinking, what would, if the US invaded, what would be the approach from other countries? I mean, granted, Britain under this current government isn't going to do anything. It's just going to wipe its hand. But I'm thinking France, Germany, will they be happy with that? Will China, will Brazil, will Russia be happy with that?
As it stands right now, I mean, you got one of the things that are ruffling a lot of feathers is that China has moved in and started signing deals to buy oil from Venezuela. Matter of fact, they have reportedly started an oil platform, drilling platform in Lake. What's the name? It starts with an M. It's right there off the Gulf. Anyway, they're started pumping Venezuelan oil, reportedly out of Venezuela's territory, and that again would be a trigger on the Monroe Doctrine. But then to top it off, Russia is coming in and offering military advisement. They're offering, as I understand it, they're giving them missiles, anti-aircraft missiles that they're deploying all along their northern border, and they're also training their troops, supposedly.
Yeah, apparently they have 5,000 already of the missiles.
Yeah, and not only that, but you got apparently Russia has parked one of their warships off the coast of Venezuela as a basically they're flipping the bird at the United States. That if you hit us, well, then you are going to drag us into it. But this is basically them saying, if you can push NATO into Ukraine and onto our doorsteps, well, guess what? We're going to help Venezuela. We're going to turn Venezuela on our side and put them on your doorstep. This is the other reason.
This is the other reason I was thinking that we're not going after Mexico and we're going more toward Venezuela, is because we can just sit out there with our Navy, on either side, really, Colombia, etc., with the size of Mexico. That's not something we'd be able to do. Just sit out there and hit them with whatever from our Navy.
Well, that's the funny thing. In reality is, if we were worried about the drug trafficking, we would be going to Mexico. We would have our troops so deep into Mexico, we would be throwing flashbangs into Scheinbaum's front door. We would already be there. But I just found a report here recently that we've had our special forces on the ground over there training their Mexican Marines to fight the cartels, and there's a huge battle going on along the northern states of Mexico. They're especially with CJNG, Nueva Generaciones. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. CJNG, the cartel. I can't remember the full name of the damn cartel, but the Nueva Generación, they're the ones that took over after Chapo was arrested. They filled that vacuum of power. But my point is, if you're going to use drug trafficking as a justification, well, then Mexico should be your number one target, especially if you're talking about fentanyl. Your next target should be Colombia, because that's where the cocaine, Colombia and Bolivia, that's where the cocaine's being created. But the reality is, CIA and DEA have had their hands in all that shit for the longest time. Maybe not DEA, but the CIA for sure.
Yeah.
Going all the way back to, the
Bush's time, right?
Well, even before that, they had the Mina, Arkansas drug and run operation with Barry Seal. They were running dope all the way down to from Colombia and running drug or arms to Nicaraguans and Contras in Nicaragua.
Right to Bill Clinton in Arkansas. Yeah.
Yeah, and Bill Clinton covered the whole thing up.
Just saying.
And George Bush.
He was governor of Arkansas. He was in charge of. He was keeping it quiet with all the drugs in Mina, Arkansas. Yeah.
Just say
they were going to call that movie Mina. They're just going to call it Mina, and they said, "Oh no, you're not just going to call it Mina," and they called it American Made instead.
Yeah.
Iran-Contra is all about that stuff. I mean, that was Ronald Reagan, too, and Nancy Reagan with Just Say No to Drugs, you know.
Well, even before that, I mean, that stemmed from Air America in Vietnam, in Laos and Cambodia, the Golden Triangle. Yeah, they were smuggling heroin from there. And when we went back to Afghanistan, what did we do? We encouraged the local farmers to stop growing food and start growing opium.
Mm-hmm.
And we, of course, we covered the whole damn thing up. It's duplicitous what we do. We're trying to label everybody else a terrorist. But the reality is we are the biggest gangster terrorist organization on the planet with a larger body count than any other quote-unquote hostile nation and quote-unquote terrorist organization, which we probably built with us and Mossad probably created.
Right.
ISIS was created by us. Al-Qaeda was created by us.
That's why there's a plan to take that down now, and it's in place.
But again, you're basing that's a statement based on faith that they're actually doing what the accused said they were doing.
Well, that's
I've
true,
yet
but I
to
think
see some rock solid.
Yeah,
I want a front row seat
we'd
to
be dead if otherwise, because of that Georgia Guidestones. Seriously, we'd be dead. We would all be in the concentration camps because we didn't take the vax, and
therein lies. That's it, and that's it. The thing is, though, this is what I say about the slippery slope. The same way they can label anybody a terrorist to not give them any due process and get them off the chessboard. They could have easily done with the COVID pandemic lockdown and say he was sick, so we rounded him up and put him in a FEMA camp, which he did not survive. Do you understand what I'm saying?
But I'm saying that didn't happen. So
that didn't happen here, but that happened to a lot of people in places like Australia, etc.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, I've got video of it. I reported on it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that it's not that there isn't a plan. You're kind of hinting that there's nothing been done. It's just it's not out in the open yet, because when it does go out,
you guys know what APIs are, right? You understand what an active pharmaceutical ingredient is, right? It's
no. Go ahead and explain to the audience.
Okay, so what happens is, like, freaking, you have what's called an active pharmaceutical ingredients, and that is basically finished generics from countries like India and China.
Yeah.
And what they do is they make nearly all major pharma companies ingredients for their drugs. So, like, when Raph was sitting there talking about encouraging the Afghanis to give up farming for selling opium, okay, these farmers were selling opium for these big pharmaceutical companies for their ingredients. So every time you buy into the idea that these pharmaceuticals are good, what you're doing is you're saying it's okay for these third world countries to freaking grow poppies and freaking get away with it because they're doing it for pharmaceuticals. And most of them are here in the United States. About 90% of prescription drugs that are doing this stuff in foreign countries are coming from the United States. They're imported.
The only thing that, Roger, is now because of the fentanyl, they're just synthetically making what used to be poppy, which is why we just bounced out of there in 2018. Raph was definitely right about the poppy production. I looked at last week, James Corbett put out something called The CIA Still Runs the Drugs. 41-minute little thing that he put together. And, oh, God, I'm going to have a brain fart.
I love James Corbett.
He's great. He's great. But, he was going over the poppy production. And, my goodness, in 2000, wouldn't you know, that was when their poppy production was at the very lowest, when the Taliban had taken hold. And as soon as we got in there in 2001, you see it go up. By the time it's 2004, it's up higher by like 2 times than it had been ever in the 90s. By the time you see 2008, it's up by 3 times. It's uncanny.
Yep. But here's the thing, though, and I've had this another argument with somebody else about it. You know, they're basically trying to say, well, these drug cartels are coming in and they're victimizing our people, you know, with fentanyl and this, that, whatever. I said, look, man, the cartel doesn't come in and put a gun to their head and force them to use fentanyl, to use heroin, to do whatever. They don't holding them at gunpoint. They're buying this shit. They're creating the black market that is necessary because of prohibition. It's necessary. They're creating the black market, which creates all the criminal activity, which creates all the violence. Instead of getting rid of prohibition and making it legal so that these people can get it, that's something that's regulated, that's clean, from say Circle K, you know, they get a jonesing, 11 o'clock at night. Hey man, I need marijuana cigarettes. Okay, let's go to Circle K. Why would you buy it from a backwood dealer when that could be laced with fentanyl or PCP or anything else?
Well, I would like to hear from Mark Worthy, actually, because don't they have something like that in the UK? I mean, even in the prison system, not methadone, but, and I know this is going to sound nuts, but bear with me here. This is for folks who didn't do good, quote unquote, on the methadone program. They basically wanted to keep relapsing. It wasn't good enough just to keep their withdrawals at bay. So they actually, from what I understand, give them a certain amount of heroin per day. They get dosed by sometimes they get dosed by a machine that looks at their retina to tell if they're already using another drug. That way, if they are, they won't give it to them, etc. Have you heard of anything like that, Mark Edworthy, or am I just nuts here?
Well, they ended prohibition back in Portugal. Mark, I think you're on mute. You're on mute, bud. Yeah, we can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Yeah. I'm vaguely aware, but again, the details I haven't really done the research on.
Anyway, I know they decriminalized it in Portugal.
That was 15 years ago. I found that out. Something like 150 out of 301 UK prisons had that program. Couldn't believe it.
What about Portugal? They decriminalized drugs there too.
Yeah, that's interesting. How
they dropped
overnight
down 50%. Yeah, they dropped addiction overnight because they weren't
they sure did.
In the shadows. And it's the same thing here. I mean, you look at, let's say alcohol. The United States government tried everything to stop alcohol, but they couldn't. They went so far as to poison alcohol to try to get people to stop drinking it. And, the reality is prohibition doesn't work. It never has. It never will. You're trying to prevent somebody from using something that has, you have no business telling people what to do with their lives. That's where we messed up. We abdicated personal responsibility, and I know I've harped on that a million times. But by legalizing it, you can regulate it. You can make sure that it's not laced with PCP or angel dust or fentanyl or anything else. Whether it's marijuana or cocaine. If you legalize it, you can keep the cartels out of the game, and people like Philip Morris, the cigarette companies, they have the infrastructure to pump out so many marijuana cigarettes that it can drop the manufacturing debt cost down to 3 cents a cigarette. And the cartels can't compete with that. Same thing with cocaine.
I was just going to say, being sort of a classical liberal individual that I am, I agree that free market ideology and less than fair, but again, I do understand the point of regulation, as long as it's proportionate.
Yeah, exactly, and that's and again, the market will determine that. But the thing about it, though, is that sorry, Vicky, you were saying?
Oh, I had heard someone had complained, and so maybe you all would know about this, saying that, okay, the Venezuelan boats, that they've been sinking, that
Yeah.
have like 2 people on, they were saying that these boats were actually going to take these drugs to Europe. And that's why they felt like the U.S. didn't have any right to take them out, because they were going to Europe and bringing all these drugs into Europe. And I'm like, okay. So
On those tiny little speedboat things?
Yeah, that's what it was a military person. And I was like, okay. And then the other thing is like, well, and then they brought up how there are little kids on those boats too, because a lot of times I guess they use the kids as mules, right? I mean, not technically, mules, but as far as taking the drugs, I mean, they're kind of tied in with the trafficking issue with the drugs.
But it's not like we were enough debt as it is, No, we can't continue to sink them with a 50 cal round. No, we got to use a $500,000 missile to do it, just to make it a spectacular mess out of it. It's bullshit.
Well, did you see the one where they had a sniper? They put a couple in the motor. They disabled the motor. Then they had the Coast Guard come up and actually get on board. This is how they should have done all of them. But what happened a couple days ago?
I think the reason why they don't board, because then international law. No. I mean, with these particular ones, is it might be considered an international law piracy at that point. All right, so you got to be careful. So if you blow them out of the water, that's different, I guess.
The Coast Guard. No. Jason, the Coast Guard sniper took the engine out, and they went on there. Now, the Coast Guard operates under different rules than the Navy does, because they're not a war department or war military service. They're there just to stop the drugs and illegals coming by the water and rescuing people also. That's why they didn't kill anything. They didn't kill the people.
Yeah, I thought it was tricked out that they even had a sniper or a sniper rifle or any of that. I didn't know.
Oh yeah, well, heck, I was trained before going overseas, because I was in the Coast Guard, and we were shooting up to 300, 500 yards, and we.
Wow.
Oh yeah, we had to. This was in Cape May. This was Cape May also. Yeah, we were doing there.
Someone posted. I'm sorry. Someone had posted the rules about the international waters, about vessels in international waters, basically saying that a boat in international waters that is not running a national flag is categorized as international laws the same way as a pirate is. Such boats have absolutely no national or international protections, and you cannot commit a war crime against them, which I agree with that. You can't commit a war crime, but you can still commit murder.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right. Yeah, you're right on that point. Whoever put it out to you, Rafi, because I've never seen a flag on any of those boats.
Yeah, they're stateless vessels.
Flying flag, so they were definitely pirates or illegal drug runners.
It says any state may stop, board, search, or seize or disable a stateless vessel. UNCLOS, UNCLOS, Article 110 explicitly authorizes boarding and seizure. The law does not require states to take risk their own personnel or assets while doing so. Disabling a vessel that refuses inspection, including firing on it, is legally permissible under both UNCLOS and long-established state practice. Lethal force may be used when a vessel refuses lawful orders. The International Maritime Organization's use of force guidance for maritime interdiction recognizes that disabling fire, even lethal force, is lawful when a vessel refuses lawful boarding, attempts to flee, poses a threat, or engages in illicit activities such as piracy or narcotics trafficking.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically they're saying they can't fire on it, but I think what I'm seeing here is says it can use lethal force to, but I don't know if I don't know if they're
talk about a slippery slope. If they're transporting drugs, you can shoot at them, but you got to kind of get closer than you would be to shoot at them to see do they actually have the drugs.
Well, that's it. I mean,
I hate to break it to you guys, but I started the call a little too early, and we're going to run out of time on this one. So, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for this hour, and then I'm going to wait a couple minutes and call everybody back on the same one.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to go into a long break here. This is your chance to get up, go get your drinks and refill and empty the bladders and join us right back here. How long from now, Mark?
About 5-10 minutes, but if you're still listening, we'll be right back in a little bit here.
Sounds good. All right, guys. Have a great night. Or we'll see you guys in about 15 minutes. Or 10 minutes.
10.
Okay.
All right. We're on radio break right now, and I'm just going to let this one run out so that we can get the other one in.
What we got to do? We got to bring Roger back on because he's got to finish his segment, what he was talking about at the 9:30 break.
9:30 break.
Yeah, he was talking, and I interrupted him because it was time for break, and he was talking about something. I don't know what it was.
I'm still here.
Related.
Was it George?
It's all related
to
the
St. George thing?
Yeah, check chats too. Larry is over on Facebook. Raph, he's in there, and we also have some other folks around. I did post in here a post from D-Live from someone there. So, make sure we address all that as well if we can.
Absolutely. Yep. Hold on.
So, hey, Mark, you might want to double check with what's his face too, because I think you guys may have gotten your hours mixed up. Like if the time he was talking about to you would have been like an after show. I don't think he was saying.
I don't think we're going to do an after show tonight because.
Well, I mean, with him, what's his name on censorship? I keep forgetting his name. He's that cool dude.
Oh, yeah. Barry.
No, the other one that was on tonight.
Brent. Brent will be coming in next week from 9 to 10, and it's just a one-on-one. We're not going to be in. We'll be here, but it's a one-on-one interview with him. We have he has a lot of stuff. He was.
I think he said Central though. So if he said Central, that he's thinking like 10 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah.
10,
well, no, 9 to 10 our time. Okay. And I'll make sure Brent knows that too. It should be either the first part or the second part of the show next week for Brent. We'll find out when I get him in.
He's got cool stuff. So have you talked to him yet, Raph?
All right. We'll be right back. I'm going to get us reconnected with the folks here on the Vixen's Vault because we have a Legion of Chaos. So, let's see what we can do. Getting everybody back together. Here's Raph. Welcome back, Raph. Get Roger in here. Mark.
Hey, I'm here, yeah.
Let me get Jason in here, too. And David. Where'd David go? David and Vicky. Don't look like Willie wants to come in tonight and talk. About Slender Man or whatever.
Yeah, now that was actually a good conversation.
That was funny, yeah. All right.
No, you need to understand one thing about Slender Man and not having a butt, okay? Like, there's a reason why I told you. it's better that he
Roger, you don't have to go into how Slender Man wears a thong because he's...
See, I'm skinny. I'm skinny. I'm skinny. I don't have a butt.
And how he uses, he steals Willie's bracers to keep them up from falling off.
That was never.
The Slender Man has no booty meat from what I heard. But anyway.
Well, see, that's what I was trying to say. I'm skinny. I don't have very much of a butt either, so I can understand why he would have to wear a thong. Like, especially when it comes to carrying stuff. Like, if you don't have a butt and you're like carrying, like, say, soda, your freaking pants just keep falling down, dude.
Yeah,
it don't matter what size.
You need to start wearing bracers or suspenders there, buddy.
No, that's for old men.
I actually do.
Yeah, I know. I know you do.
Actually, I hate wearing boots, and I think braces actually helps with posture as well.
Dude. Sit down. That's kind of embarrassing.
Let me just finish on making coffee. Let me just finish on making coffee.
It's like he started moving like Mr. Bean. You seen that? Like, you know how Mr. Bean used to always move around and stuff? He's Mr. Bean. Like, don't be doing that, dude.
Hey, Mark, where's the thread Larry's in?
He's in Facebook on my front page.
There he is.
Yeah, there's.
I can't find it.
Hold on, I'll send you the link.
All right, thank you.
Dave, is your audio good?
Yeah, I'm good. Why? What's going on?
It still shows that you're muted.
Larry says he's hanging in there.
No, I just unmuted. Okay.
There it is. Yeah, that was weird. Because I could hear you. Weird. I could hear your voice and everything, but it still said you were muted.
Oh, maybe it was too quick. Maybe we reacted too quickly for these computers.
I hate Teams. I hate it with a passion, to be honest.
Yeah.
I really do. They screwed up big time when they got rid of Skype.
It's about control of Mark Watashik. That's why.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Watashik the Akashic.
Akashic. Yes. It's a good name. Yeah. Well, that person did put that comment in there about the pre-scripted
do you see
show.
It now?
Yeah, I see the link. Hold on, I'm popping in.
Well, I mean, I think we would probably get more viewers if we actually did script this show, because like, freaking.
No, I'm not downloading Facebook.
Mark Watashik, man, is just he starts talking about crazy shit in here, dude.
Who?
Like,
Who does?
Did you hear the stuff he says, man? Like about them freaking dwarf Vikings and
chicken jockey.
Chicken jockey and stuff. And
that's Roger.
Yeah,
he's the chicken jockey slayer. Slayer of chicken jockeys.
No, not really, dude. They really do.
He will slay. If he finds one that has a skeleton, man, he will go out of his way and slay that bad boy.
I will run like a chicken, dude. A chicken being chased by a chicken is what that's all about. Them things are mean, dude.
Mean?
They're mean. The only thing worse than a chicken jockey is a freaking skelly, dude. Because they got bows and arrows.
What about the pygmy chicken jockey? The little dude that rides the chicken?
Well,
aren't they real fast?
Those are the midgets. Those are the midget zombies.
Can't say that, man. We've talked about that.
Well,
watch
I mean,
it, because people out there, get offended by their little people. All right, little people.
You bait them every time.
Roger, little people.
You bait them into saying it every time.
I refuse to call them little people because that's an insult to the fairy folk.
I didn't say they were wee folk. I mean,
well, Mark's from England. Little people is a slang for fairy folk over there, aren't they, Mark?
No.
Mark Watashik.
That would be Faye.
Edworthy.
Faye. That would be Faye. Those people are
Yeah,
fake.
they're the wee people, the little folk, the little
Oh,
people.
the island. The
What?
island, not.
Yeah.
That'd be
Well,
Irish.
Yeah, they just call them stuff like the Shay or something like that, you know.
Well, I mean, you're
I
like
thought they
right
were
next
fake.
to Wells. Wells is like the capital. Wells is like the capital of folklore. I mean, every one of them still believes in gremlins.
Yeah.
And Merlin? And Merlin?
And we have 30 seconds, and don't forget, after Christmas, make sure that you sweep your house out real good. If you leave any of those pine needles behind and you have a live tree, you could let goblins in.
I did not hear that before.
Anyways, here's your
Yeah, I've never heard
kind of
that.
countdown, maybe sort of. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you're live and back on the radio side right now.
And welcome back to the Vixen'S Vault. This is Rafael Martinez filling in for Nancy Planetto. And we're going back to our topic for tonight, and we're talking about Venezuela. So where did we leave off at, guys?
Didn't talk about the ship that they just took in today with full of oil, was heading for Cuba.
Oh, was it a ship or was it?
No, it was a ship. It was a big oil ship, a ship full of oil. They just grabbed. They grabbed today. We grabbed it. I guess it was the Navy. They stopped it. I don't know what they're going to do with it. They can't sink it because then they'll have all the environmentalists over it. So I don't know. Maybe that's why our gas keeps coming down. The price of gas.
Yeah, they'll steal it just like they did with Syria's oil. That's right. I said it.
I'll tell you what,
we
if
robbed
the price of gas goes up, we're done. That'd be the last thing we have, cheap gas.
And then we had
food, everything else is expensive, the tariffs.
And then we had our favorite top 10 terrorist list Al-Qaeda member take over Syria for us, and we declared him a world leader and cleared him of all his terrorist wrongdoings.
How about that? He still had a $20 million price on his head his first 7 days as the new president of Syria because of red tape. Uncanny, unbelievable. I can't stand that dude.
Well, like I said, we're the global gangster terrorist organization. There's a reason why there's no peace on earth. It's because of us. And we,
cut off.
Like I said, when we went off the gold standard, we declared war on the world, and it started with economic war, but then it went on beyond that. We've been hitting people that have oil and people that don't have Rothschild central banks, and that's been the name of the game since the 70s.
And then making our own money, printing our own money.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, though. That's the reason why the 7 countries in 5 years that Wesley Clark talked about and Venezuela are happening because the economic system as we know it is falling apart.
Well,
they can't keep this Ponzi scheme going if everybody's not playing the same game.
Well,
and they have to get everybody on digital money.
Right, and they have, or they will. Actually, I think they already have. It just isn't known to everybody yet, except for those few that aren't on board that are causing trouble, like Iraq. And probably Venezuela has corrupt government, too, because you can't have corrupt money in the new money system.
Who's more corrupt, them or us?
Well, obviously, we are, but we're the ones doing the fixing. We're fixing it.
We need to clean house first.
But
we have no moral authority to tell anybody anything about how to run their countries or run their lives when we can't even fix our own shit.
Right, but if America is fixing it, and that is why the fix will go around the world so that it will be taken care of. If we broke it, we should fix it, right?
Well, it looks like they're fixing it.
That's not a very good policy because we just go breaking everything. We're going to help you, and we're going to shoot you if you don't let us help you.
Well, you know that there are segments in our government that have not been good, and that's why things have changed.
Credit cards.
Even under Trump, I don't trust the government.
You guys keep talking about like this decentralized token and stuff, but this stuff goes all the way back to the invention of credit. You know what I mean? If you really want to talk about money that's just fictional, dude, let's talk about credit cards and running around with this card.
The Fed was going around and printing their own money. I mean, that's how they did it. And so I'm saying, but the Fed is dead now.
It's been a while since we've actually had to have an actual $5, $10 bill in our pocket. Like we've always look at these debit cards that are out now.
The Fed just prints me with keyboard now. That's the only difference.
Like, I mean, do you really think all that money that's on those cards are really held in the bank? I mean,
oh no. Mm-mm.
Well, it goes beyond that. I mean, we've had clandestine methods of creating money out of thin air for the CIA, and I think we even gave plates to Iraq back in the 80s. And now, if going back to this day and age, after the 2008 crisis, it was Senator Alan Grayson, I think it was. Anyway, he was grilling the Grayson.
Okay.
He was, but anyway, he was grilling the OIG, the Office of Inspector General, of the Federal Reserve, about where $5 trillion went to. Oh no, what? $5 trillion? No, 500 billion, I think it was. So basically, the Federal Reserve created $500 billion out of thin air. That was totally outside, huh?
They printed their own money. They said they did that.
They created money out of thin air with no treasury bonds created to back it. There was no authorization to create this money by Congress. They just created it and they sent it to Europe with no authorization, and that's what he was grilling them about. So clearly, they're fixing, they're basically paving over anything and everything with money they're creating out of thin air in order to seal up the stock gaps. And that's when you're talking about, since I mentioned Europe, Europe, that's another basket case that's experiment that's getting ready to fail. They're going to go. They're failing just like the League of Nations failed, just like the UN is starting to fail, like NATO is starting to fail.
And
the EU won.
Well, I was going to say, didn't the League of Nations just become NATO?
It became the UN.
Yeah, United Nations.
Yeah, it became the UN. Yeah, I mean that's why we had one of the reasons we had World War II. The League of Nations wasn't enough. Those 13, they needed the UN.
That's the reason why. That's the reason why Europe is trying to push for the war with Russia in Ukraine. That's why they're fueling the fire. Because for the longest time they've been trying to solidify their hold over Europe, all the countries in Europe. But it's basically right now it's kind of like a unelected bureaucracy overseeing the sovereign countries of Europe, but they have no real power. There was about 10 years ago, maybe actually before Trump's first term, they creating an EU army, and that was that was before Trump. I think it was during the Obama administration, but they couldn't get the support because, again, the states themselves and the countries, the member countries, didn't want to spend the money, and they didn't see the rationale behind it. Now, fast forward, EU is already collapsing as an organization, so they're trying to push this war with Russia to sell the idea that they're all in it together. This matter of fact, Lavrov, their head of state in Russia, said that that Europe is the Fourth Reich, and I don't disagree with him. It's basically there is Germany at the head trying to solidify this EU bloc over all of Europe.
They're the Rothschild banks, though.
Funny you mentioned that. Funny you mentioned that. Me and Mark finished up on Europe this year on my show, and by the time it was done, I'd really taken a look at this unified Germany that they have this time, and like I had it backwards in the beginning because I didn't realize that like Germany was actually the flagship. It was everything that the EU represents. You know what I mean? Like it was created by the freaking Allied forces after they'd won World War II, and they just literally turned Germany into exactly what the EU was meant to be. I mean, it was perfect that Germany would become basically the head of the freaking whole European Union. You can say that they changed those countries and all that crap, but everybody knows who runs the show in the European Union. It's Germany, you know. But it was really amazing whenever we finished that because it made me look at that a whole lot different.
Well,
it really did.
Sure,
all of those countries had to step down, though. They all had to disband their government. I mean, they're not registered anymore.
The thing that puzzles me is that if Germany is the de facto head of the EU, why would they sign off on blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline?
I am not sure if that is an accurate sort of examination. The EU is governed by the European Commission, which is a bunch of unelected.
But every gang has a leader.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I'll have to think about that actually.
Or multiple leaders, right?
Or multiple. Yeah, that's true. But, the thing about it, though, is that, there's within the foreign policy circles, it has been their policy to try to keep Russia and Germany apart because they thought that they were so aligned, they're basically mentally, they're culturally, they're so alike. If they got together, there would become an unstoppable, unbeatable alliance. And when I was reading, that pipeline represented a strong step forward towards solidifying the relationship between Russia and Germany. And that's the reason why the United States blew it up. Because the more you normalize economic trade between nations, the more they become aligned everywhere else. You understand?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean,
so let's just say the United States and Mexico were at war.
Uh-huh.
And one day we decided to end hostilities. But we saw an opportunity to sell our subsidized corn to Mexico. And Mexico, they eat a ton of corn. So they accept the deal and we start doing trade. And eventually they find other things, other equitable, things that they can trade, and then they start aligning with other things, after the, full cross-border trade ensues, then they start trading cultural ideas. They start exchanging political ideas, so on and so forth. And then eventually they just become basically frickin' frack. They're two peas in the pod. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Well,
they go from enemies to friends, as all wars do. It ends with you start as enemies and they eventually end up friends.
But historically, at least 2 or 3 times, I mean, the Russians were deathly afraid of the Germans because the Germans came in and whacked them, several times.
The deal between Germany and Russia is you had 2 big dogs, okay, and the Slavs in between them is what was the key to it. Like you heard about Balkanization, okay. Now that all occurred because of different things that took place within that region. The Slavs Russians tried to portray themselves as heroes of the Slavs. Okay, so they created what was called Pan-Russianism, and that was basically another form of what Germany had done, which led up to World War II when it came to Germans. Okay, they wanted to make it to where Germany was central to freaking the survival of the German people and the quote unquote Aryans, which that was, to me, was just like a political term, because I think Hitler was more interested in consolidating power for Germany, and that's what Russia does. Okay, everything that has to do with Russia and like even pan-Russian or pan-Slavic beliefs, it all has to give power to Russia. Russia has to be the hero out of the whole bunch. So you have two big dogs fighting for dominance there. You see what I mean?
Yeah, but I thought that Germany wanted their land. They didn't. They look at the Slavs as being, where the word comes from, slaves. Lesser than.
Well, they didn't. The Slavs and people in that region, they didn't trust the Germans, because the Germans were greedy bankers who just wanted to come in and take over their land and stuff. Like that was.
They've been drowned.
There were 2 other points.
Today, the military power of Germany is nothing compared to what it was.
Yeah.
Roger, you said who were the bankers?
It was the Germans for that region. The German bankers were the ones coming into like areas like Romania, Hungary, and countries like that, and were trying to take over the region through the banking systems.
You mean the Rothschild bank?
Oh no! That was the juicy people.
No. Listen, Germany.
The Rothschild.
Germany itself was doing it. It has nothing to do with like race or anything like that. Like just the German bankers, which had Jews within it.
Yeah, the Rothschilds.
You're looking at this extremely simply, Roger.
No,
There's a point in this. You have to consider Germany, Austria, which
Austria didn't even. Austria didn't even want unification. As a matter of fact, Hitler had the SS assassinate their freaking leader because he wanted to go with Italy so that he could avoid unification. Like he didn't want to. Austria didn't.
My mother-in-law said they were happy when they came in.
Some
politicians sure seem to like
she was there.
Austria as a country.
Like Germany was the one who wanted to unify.
You consider the long-term distrust between Germany and France.
Well, yeah, that was another aspect too.
Going all the way back to Napoleon.
Yep, it was huge, and that was between Germany and France too. France actually occupied Berlin twice. It was the Napoleonic Wars, and then after that, during the what's that? It was in between before Hitler came into power. The Weimar Republic.
Weimar Republic. That was a replacement.
The Weimar Republic.
The Weimar is democratic. It was, and they were weak and they didn't like it.
Well, I mean, the French actually came in and occupied them though, because freaking they were upset with them for not paying their reparations after World War One, and that was the first one I thought of. But then we found out too that it was actually happened before that. Whenever Napoleon was on his rampage, he went into Berlin and occupied it as well. So there was always a blood feud going on with Germany and France and that whole area. Always had to do with banking and freaking superiority. They looked down on everybody as lesser than.
Yeah. Do they all kind of look like down on everybody? All of them?
Well, yeah. I mean, Europeans are just dirty scum. I mean,
Well, they're just very proud. They're very proud of their own countries.
Like you can't trust French people.
Best.
French people will eat your horse, dude. They will freaking eat your horse. They're horse eaters. Okay. You can't trust anybody that eats horse. Period. Okay. And Canadians, they're freaking cannibals. They're freaking gonna eat your freaking children and shit.
Yeah, you live next to Canada, Roger, so you probably know all this stuff.
Yeah, I know. I keep trying to tell Mark, and he won't listen. He just keeps, like, okay, whatever, dude. They're your colonials, Freaking, you need to, like, write a letter to them and say that freaking you need to stop eating freaking your children and your horses. And why did they allow these French people the right to freaking talk in their own languages? Like, that's just retarded. You know what I mean? French people, you're a part of Canada. You need to speak the language or get the hell out. We're sick of you. That's what you need to say in Canada. But no, want to be bilingual.
French. They speak French in Quebec. Quebec.
Yeah, Quebec.
When they have their elections, they have to speak both English and French. First they speak English, and then they speak French.
Yep. And Raph, go ahead and take us out to break.
All right. Well, it's already that time to go to break, so stand by, everybody. Come back in 5 minutes?
5 minutes, yep.
All right, and we'll continue for our last section of last segment of the Vixen'S Vault.
Uh-oh. What's going on? No!
Are we on break?
Hold on here.
He's freaking out. There's some bad news.
No.
Broadcaster
went down. Anyways, we'll come back in 5 minutes.
Oh no.
Poor
Mark.
But what do we do with Venezuela then?
You don't want to hear my take on Venezuela, dude. Freaking being honest with you, it's like freaking that country. Somebody needs to do something. It just can't be sitting there getting away with the shit it's been doing. Like, and I'm talking about for the people themselves who live there. They need freaking help.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. You think we're going to be the ones to help them, though?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is like it goes back to this whole illegal immigrant thing that everybody's talking about. There's a reason why they're fleeing their country. You know what I'm saying? Like, these people are literally freaking doing evil shit to their own people, like the government is. And if,
every government is.
Well, the United States is real good about going to Iraq. They're real good about going to Afghanistan. All these countries that have absolutely nothing to do with us, but we say, oh no, let's stay away from Venezuela.
So why don't the US?
I'm gonna get us back on air here.
It's.
You back already? That was quick.
No,
that was a quick 5 minutes.
It's a 1 minute. There's a minute break, Mark.
Well, wait a minute here. All right. Well, I'll get us in a break at least.
I feel so sorry for this guy. He's been like working hard all day long.
I mean, the broadcast, the radio broadcaster crashed, so I'm like, okay.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's in the water, dude. There's just crazy stuff happening. I told you my computer got wiped out yesterday, right?
Yeah.
I had to literally reinstall my Windows, and everything is gone that I had before.
Sorry about that.
And
start considering improving your backup routine.
I've been doing the only thing that I messed up on is with that stuff I've been doing with Minds Gaming, and then I haven't been backing those up. But
the stream that we had on Monday.
That was a recording, and that's one of them that I was talking about. Like if I would have done like usual, I would have had that backed up on the internet. Because I mean,
I don't mean to.
Local backups.
Oh, no.
Remember the 3-2-1.
That doesn't matter when it
copy one.
When that iOS goes out, dude, it's gone.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? It's like it is gone, dude. Like Windows, everything. The only thing that the BIOS was the only thing that was still working. It would go all the way up to my account, and everything would just turn black screen.
Well, that sucks. It really does.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to get on your nerves, Raphael. I'm sure I did. I don't know if he's still there or he.
We got about 2 minutes, and then we'll be back.
I get just as irritated as you, because I take stuff on faith that this is happening like it's supposed to, but I want to see it too. I want to see it.
Believe that everything's supposed to be happening the way. No, come on, dude. You cannot tell me that everybody in this room doesn't think that something is wrong with today and what's going on.
Well, I'm talking about the plan. I'm just saying. And they said to us,
I don't think there is a plan.
Looking underneath, well, there is. Looking underneath there is one, but it all has to, they all have to answer to the laws, and they can't make any mistakes. And that's what we're not privy to. We don't know,
Well, I mean, what is the plan, though? That's the whole thing. I mean, what exactly?
Are we still on break?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know that we're supposed to be, going over to the quantum financial system, and that all of our money is supposed to go back on gold or some other asset.
Silver. Gold and silver.
Yeah.
Gold and
Well,
silver.
no, for other countries, it could be diamonds. It could be oil. It's whatever the country
30
has.
seconds.
And everybody's currency is supposed to 1 to 1 to 1, so the U.S. won't get that hegemony, because they don't want everybody's supposed to go to a constitutional republic government. And if they don't do it, they don't get the tech. They don't get the med beds. They don't get any other special tech that's coming out.
And here's your countdown. 5, 4,
That's it.
3, 2, 1, and you're back on the air right now. And
welcome back to the Vixen'S Vault. Welcome back to the Vixen'S Vault. This is Raphael Martinez. So I was choking on a Kit Kat here for a second. Yeah. So we were talking about the quote-unquote Q plan during the break, and how it relates to Venezuela and everything else. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. It requires a leap of faith that I just cannot muster. And until I actually see, the guillotine drop on, the Clintons and all the other evil predators, that are in our government and in our country in general. I mean, I don't intend to allow pedophiles and cannibals to continue existing once this is all done. See what I'm saying? There's no way that they're going to get a free pass. There's just no way.
They're not supposed to, and they haven't been.
Well, we'll see. I mean, they're still walking the streets.
Well, maybe. I mean, it's creatures that look like the,
again, we're talking clones, alien shapeshifters, all that other stuff. I'm not. Maybe body doubles. But
right.
I mean, otherwise, if you're gonna create, if you're gonna go by a narrative, you got to have something with reasonable amount of in reality, in the current reality that we do know, that we can prove every day. Sky is blue, water's wet, et cetera, et cetera. Everything else is hope and wishful thinking. And I just, again, this is where I get back to is I have a hard time just having that kind of blind faith, for us to just hope that, that Trump's going
to. Well,
I understand you have a problem with that. Yeah, because you can't see it.
You know how you guys are always big on talking about the Hegelian dialect?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let me, I've never mentioned this before, but I want to point something out about that, okay? The reason why it was named was because of a guy by the name of Hegel, who actually came up with the whole concept, wrote it down and everything, okay? Now, I think that a naming of that was deceptive because, for one thing, when everybody hears Hegelian dialect, they think that this man came up with the whole concept and he was one person behind all that. It wasn't that. What happened was he started doing research and he found patterns that took place throughout history, and that was what he did. He sat down and he took and wrote those patterns down, and he came up with the whole concept of the Hegelian dialect, okay? These were ideas that have been going on since the beginning of freaking known civilization, that he noticed the patterns in. And like the other night, when, and I'm kind of worried about mentioning it because it actually caused my computer to collapse. We were talking, me and Nancy and Raph were about freaking duality and triality, and you get into this part of philosophy where they start talking about the third element, and that would be kind of like oxygen mixing with hydrogen, which creates water, okay, kind of thing. Now, the Hegelian dialect is a part of that. All right. This is where, when you have two forces that work together intensely, it creates something entirely new. Okay. So, like, when you take a look at all of the stuff going on right now, what you're really looking at are two forces, two energies that are working against one another or together, one or the other, and it's creating something new, a third thing. Okay, and that's kind of what we're seeing today, in my opinion. Okay,
is that the fifth generation?
No, that's
warfare. Warfare.
That's a third element. Okay, that's referred to. It's literally referred to as the third element. You that leads you into the triad. Okay, which is, it goes from duality to triality, and triality is just basically the triad. A functional triad. And these are all facts. These aren't like any pseudo-scientific things or anything like that. These are things that freaking scholars actually research and they talk about. But this is all a part of that, you know what I mean? So, and it has to do with religious structures. It has to do with psychology. It has to do with freaking philosophy. All of it. Everything that we've learned has created this situation. You can blame it on aliens all you want. You can blame it on spirits, whatever. But I don't see it that way, So when you said that, that's why I decided I wanted to say that, because I hope it made sense.
Oh, here's the thing, though. I mean, there was once upon a time when I was younger, much younger, and still indoctrinated. I would have been rooting for a lot of what's going on today. But now that I'm older, I'm out, and I'm not faced with the same indoctrination on a daily basis I've spent the last, since 2012, digging into all of this stuff. I view things from a completely different lens. And so I cannot just wholeheartedly support anything the government does. Everything needs to have its T's crossed and I's dotted. And claiming, putting Nicolas Maduro on a most wanted contract for $5 million for drug trafficking, resurrecting criminal gangs that have been defunct for decades, like Trinidad, they resurrected that for this whole narrative.
I think it's 50 million now.
Declaring them, narco terrorists, so they can get around War Power Act. Is my problem with the whole thing. It's not that I have a problem with killing our narco traffickers. They're some of the worst people on the planet, and they, down in Mexico, they chop people up on a regular basis. They chop them up, pull them in barrels, or they hang them naked over a street overpass. They do all kinds of horrible things. That even Saudi Arabia would have a hard time keeping up with these guys. ISIS didn't have nothing on the narco traffickers down in Mexico. They're killing people wholesale, just killing people left and right. And so this is where I say, if you just look at the term terrorist, it's basically committing acts of violence for a political outcome that has nothing, Venezuela's, whatever drug trafficking they are involved in has nothing to do with it. But Mexico, you goddamn right they do. That's what the whole hanging and beheading and chopping people up is about. They're trying to keep people in check. That is political persuasion through fear and intimidation. If there was ever a righteous target, it should have been Mexico. It still is Mexico, and it will be Mexico until they're all gone. And I have no problems with that. But they still need to do it the correct way. The whole, ever since 9/11, I told my parents this once I read the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act was the beginning of the end of this country. That was how they were going to destroy the Constitution one bit at a time. It already started before that, the war on drugs, and then the Oklahoma City bombing, another false flag. There have been multiple inflection points in U.S. history where you can see how they're taking down the Constitution one bit at a time. But the Patriot Act, by far, did the most amount of damage in the shortest amount of time. And this is where, now they're able to just slap that ill-labeled terrorist on anybody. And with the NDA of 2012, indefinitely detain and assassinate with no due process anywhere in the world, including the United States. Now we have no functional constitution. It is exactly what I said we had. It's not a constitutional government. It's not even a republic. It's a tyrannical government of oligarchs. And their policy is, what the F are you going to do about it? And I caught myself, Mark. You should be proud of me.
What about continuity of government? Does that enter?
The continuity of government under Rex 84. That's been in place for the longest time. That's how the deep state stays in power. It's already there. It's already set up. That's the reason why they have the deep underground bunkers, the underground cities, the underground highway networks, all of it. It's already
I'm talking
been
about
in place.
The one that's in place now, the one that they're using to get rid of all this stuff.
Well, we had Nancy and I had a theory that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Johnson?
No, don't know who it is.
You don't know who Derek Johnson is?
No.
Really? Okay.
No.
Wow.
All of us are so nerd hunting down their heads now.
He explains everything that's being done that Trump has done, and did you think that Biden was our president, or that we had a legal inauguration? You didn't think that, right?
No. And here's the thing, though, and I know where you're going with that, but no, it just. Even with that, if that was the case, then Trump was actually in office during the Biden administration, and Biden was just a puppet, and that means that Trump let all these illegal immigrants in so that he could declare martial law, militarize the police, basically create
in his
police
ninth
state,
year,
and then allow Palantir to become the digital control grid. The predictive policing, kill chain, basically assassinate U.S. citizens using the kill chain.
Operation Warp Speed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it would be nice to put it all on him, but it's not.
Well, it was on his watch, is what I'm saying.
I know, but everybody blames
it's not that we're
Trump
putting it
for
on
that.
him. It was on his watch.
But
it was, my thing. I heard that warp speed
things.
was his way. His warp speed. I heard it was his way of derailing the FEMA camps.
Yes.
And the roundups.
Right.
I had heard that, but I'm just it's.
Anything that they're doing,
I'm not impressed.
They have to do it, and it's fifth generation warfare. And I will get the book soon.
Listen,
it doesn't make sense.
When they take me up on my offer to man the guillotine for free, I will believe it. Until then, I see heads roll.
In 2007,
the thing is,
I believe
how else would you do it?
2018, a little bit in 2019, but 2025, they've kicked the everything down the road. The indictments, 40,000, then 50,000, then 80,000, then 100,000, then Clinton, then Bush didn't really die, he's sitting in jail. Then Cheney didn't really. It's just after a while, I got to draw a line somewhere.
I understand what you're saying,
comical.
But they just have to do that in order. They have reasons for what they're doing.
Oh, I know. There's a reason for everything. Otherwise, they shouldn't be able to have their feet planted where they are.
But here's the thing, though. People like me, constitutional patriots. There's no more constitutional patriot than a Marine. We were literally indoctrinated in boot camp to be the defenders of the Republic. Before anybody else, before the Army, before the Air Force, before the Navy, the Marines would be the first ones to kick the fucking door in. Jesus, Mark, I'm sorry. We'd be the first ones throwing the flashbangs in, and it's just this idea that we got to keep sitting on our hands, keep the powder dry. All the other bull BS. It's like, it feels to me like they're running down the clock until I'm 70 years old and I couldn't walk down the street without a walker and shit in my Depends.
Okay. Yeah. They have reasons, and I know everybody is tired of the waiting, and they have to answer to international tribunals as well. So everything they do has to be right.
There's very real lives in Palestine that have been dying for the last 26 months.
Exactly.
See, these are real lives. These are real families. They're not just numbers. It's not just something like a false flag that's on the news. This is very, very real. So while we're waiting, there's an awful lot of pain that's being dealt out. An awful lot of pain.
I have a lot of compassion for people in the Middle East too when it comes to the Palestinians and stuff, but I'm sick of the shit that's happening here in the United States. Okay.
Yes.
What I'm getting sick and tired of is worrying about all these other countries. Okay, we were an isolationist country for a reason back in the day. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And we didn't want to get involved in the stuff that was going on in Europe, and there was a reason.
Right, you can use that as a reason too, Roger.
We need to take care. We need to take care of what's happening here, and we need to get this nationalist bullshit out of our country. We need to get the socialist out of. We have a constitution that is codified. It is 100% freaking stays the same unless it is voted on a fifth Article 5 convention. And that only it changes the amendments. That Constitution stays the same. There is no other country that has freaking that other than maybe a few of them here recently. The rest of them can go around changing their constitutions left and right and just get away with it.
Well, yeah, but now we're back on the Constitution, and we're not on maritime law anymore. That was huge.
We need to stay away from anything that isn't constitutional law. If it's not constitution, that means we're freaking going to freaking give in to nationalism or socialism.
Yeah, but it's common law. It's not British maritime law, and which is what all of the judges and lawyers have to go back to law school and learn common law all over again, because
we just need to learn the Constitution.
I hope we don't have any more genocides. Waiting.
You know, if it's not the Constitution, it's illegal. Point blank.
Right.
I'm with Roger on this, and that's always been my argument. We need a clean house first before we can even think about doing anything to anybody else.
We just did get back on common law. We just did. We just got back on.
Okay. And yet the IRS still exists.
All right.
And yet the captured court system still exists. So on and so forth. Like I said, it's all bullshit pixie dust.
And I want to point something out. Mark should have done already. Mark Edworthy would have been proud to point out that common law started in England. It didn't start here. So let's cut that common law bullshit out.
Yeah, but what happened? Yeah, but we didn't need to take over the British maritime law stuff.
Right.
Which, I mean, we're just, you know, when you're on the
Constitution, and it's a Constitution. If it's not written in the Constitution, it shouldn't be practiced here in the United States. Point blank.
Okay. So we should not have had birth certificates. We should not have to pay taxes. We should not. All of these things.
You're starting to figure it out. Good for you.
No, I know that. That's what the Q thing was saying to everybody.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
That has legally just been
People
done.
knew that far before the Q movement.
That's right, but we're the
fact
Q
that they're
movement is
traded
the
on
one
Wall Street.
done. It's now been taken care of. I mean, who is in charge of the stock exchange now? You know, right?
Goldman Sachs.
No, Trump. Yes, because of the executive orders. You know this. Oh, come on.
I mean, you know, the New York Stock Exchange literally sits on property owned by Goldman Sachs, right?
Okay, Goldman Sachs. You know that they are owned, right? That.
All right.
I guess I'm the only one that knows anything.
You're right. They are owned.
Pixie dust and fairy farts. Yeah, I know. We get it.
Okay.
I
understand. My husband sitting.
What was the English guy's name? Wilson. Was his name George Wilson or something with the bald head in England?
Yeah.
You guys familiar with the Q guy or whatever? Not just Q, but he talked about other stuff too. Something Wilson. Dang, I don't know.
The only
bald guy from England.
Well, Mark's the only English guy we have, and he's not into Q whatsoever. Trust me.
All right, yeah.
Well,
Charlie Wilson. No. And now I'm thinking of the old senator. Never mind.
Okay. But the point is, we need a clean house, and we need to get back to the Constitution before we even think about, blowing anybody up. It's just the people of Venezuela are largely poor and illiterate, and that was something that Hugo Chavez was trying to fix. For them to penalize them for using oil profits for that is wrong. And the fact of the matter is, history has already shown that this road is going to lead us, to a lot of problems in the future. We did this in Iran when Mossadegh was in power. He decided he wanted to up the amount of royalties they were getting for Iran from BP oil, and when BP oil refused, he nationalized their oil. And because of that, BP oil complained to MI6, who complained to CIA, and they ousted Mossadegh and put in the Shah of Iran, which in of itself, they try to say that he was the best leader Iran ever had. That was BS. Mossadegh was duly elected in a sectarian government, which means religion played no part in it, and we overthrew that. They had a perfectly good government, and we overthrew them for it. Now, look at us now. It's over 70 plus years later, and we're still paying for that action, that blowback. We're still experiencing blowback from that action. So what are we going to do? We're going to do the same thing in Venezuela in our own hemisphere? We're going to do the same thing in Venezuela in our own hemisphere? We're just opening up a can of worms that we just don't need to be doing. Because Venezuela would just be the first domino in a broader, with broader implications throughout Latin America.
Yeah, and they know that. Colombia knows that. They're getting ready, etc.
Well, the United States is trying to turn Colombia into basically a hopping pad. They want to create a base down there. But more importantly, though, is that they're going to drive everybody to the BRICS. They're going to drive everybody to the BRICS because they're going to see that if you don't toe their line, all the things that can happen to them. And so the global South, not just Latin America, but including Africa, is going to jump on board with Brazil and Russia, or China and Russia, because they're going to come in and say, you know what? We know that the United States is a bully, and they're criminals and crooks and terrorists, and we're going to come help you. We're going to help you economically, we're going to help you militarily, and you won't have to put up with their BS anymore. We're going to drive the world into their arms.
Well,
they're not the problem. We got to look at ourselves in the mirror to see it. What?
All right,
209 countries already on BRICS.
We got to start wrapping up. We got about a minute, minute and a half.
Okay, so everybody, let's go ahead and start giving our contact information. We'll start with Roger.
You find me here. You can find me on Teams. You can find me on Discord at Wonderful World of Weirdness or Roger's Hangout on Teams. I'm also on Minds at Roger_Hansen. And
holy shit, we need to shorten that up. Mark Edwards.
Okay. I'm a little more easier. I'm at minds.com under the username Medworthy.
David?
Yeah, David Champ on Facebook. You can see my great wildlife pictures, and Amazon.com UFO spacecraft identification manual under David Campione. Jason,
Vicky?
Go for it.
Oh, Jason, yeah, go ahead. You're muted, Jason.
Thank you.
Okay,
MC
Vicky,
_ Dirty Work, BitChute and DLive. Rumble, there's no underscore. It's just MC Dirty Work. Also, I got a YouTube channel, MC Dirty Work, and there you have it. Instagram, MC Dirty Work with the underscore. Bang, bang.
Cool. Vicky?
Okay, you can find me on Telegram. My channel is For Such a Time as This, and on X, Bookland at Booklander62.
All right, and you can find Nancy and myself at the Vixen'svault.com. We have our social links on there, on Telegram and Facebook and Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. And Mark.
Yep, it's time to go. So I'm going to take us out.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight on the Vixen's Vault, and I hope to catch you next week. See ya.
There you go. We're going to get cut off here in a little bit. I don't want to do an after show. I got a lot of other stuff that I got to take care of.
Okay.
He's scared.
Sounds good.
Since we got a crash, so I'm going to try to patch this up. All right.
He's
right.
been
Good night,
he's
everybody.
been ducking out on the after show.
Yeah, have a
good night, guys. That was fun.
Always a pleasure.
Take care.
All right.
See you guys later.
I'll get this up and out like I always do.
All right.
Girlfriend, Roger.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight. It's been a great night. I'm going to host over, if you're in Kick, to of course, if you're in Kick, we're going over to The Great Conspiracy. And as soon as I get this going, I'm going to take and wrap everything up here. Hold on. Still working on stuff. Man, it started out great. I'm going to tell you. But good night, everybody. And I'll be around. Let me see here. Let me see how I can... If I can do a raid over on DLive, I will. I don't know how to do that. So, okay, I'll work on that over next week. So, everybody out there, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate each and every one of you. Good night, and I'll